Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tiara Steffen. I am the product marketing coordinator here on the Qgiv team. So today I'm going to be going over tips and tricks for how to use text fundraising during your year-end campaigns to engage your donors and raise more to reach those end-of-year goals. So a few housekeeping notes before we get started. We are recording this webinar, so all registrants will receive an email tomorrow afternoon with a link to the session, as well as some additional resources you might find helpful for your text fundraising campaigns. Please feel free to use the chat for any general discussion and to talk with your fellow fundraisers on the webinar today. And if you have any questions, we'd love to hear them. You can add those into the Q&A tab in the chat, and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. If you're having trouble with the Q&A tab, no worries. Just drop your questions in the chat and we'll keep track of them and answer them at the end or throughout the webinar as well. If you use social media, please feel free to share any highlights or your favorite takeaways from the webinar and give us a follow. So like I said, my name is Tiara. I am the product marketing coordinator on the Qgiv team. I've been here at Qgiv for 3 years now. It's been a great, wonderful 3 years. I really love researching fundraising best practices and helping nonprofits level up their fundraising game. And in my free time, you can often find me at a concert, watching movies, playing trivia, or hanging out with my senior dog. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to take a look at text fundraising. We're going to look at what text fundraising is, why text fundraising is a great tool to add to your year-end fundraising toolbox, the donor journey and why it's important for year-end fundraising, how to use text fundraising for both your regular good old campaigns and events. We're going to look at some text fundraising best practices, some examples, and then we'll get to our Q&A. So let's jump right in. First of all, what is text fundraising? Well, when people say text fundraising, they might be talking about a couple of different things, but ultimately, text fundraising is just an easy way to reach your donors wherever they are, whenever is convenient for them via text. The first thing people might be referring to when they talk about text fundraising is text to donate. So with text to donate, your organization can set up a shortened phone number, otherwise known as a short code. You can also set up a campaign keyword and a mobile giving page. Now, when your donors feel inspired, they can just text that campaign keyword to the short code and automatically receive a link to your mobile giving page. Optionally, they can also include the amount they'd like to give with their keyword text, and the amount they've pledged will already be filled out on the donation page for them when they click on that link to your donation form, making it that much easier to give. The second thing people might be talking about is outbound text. Now, outbound text can be an important part of your text fundraising strategy. It's a way to reach your donors directly through their phones. You can send links to newsletters, reminders about upcoming events they've registered for, and any other short communications that you want to send. So we'll be discussing both text to donate and outbound text fundraising during this webinar. Now, before we get into everything else, let's see text fundraising in action. So if you have your phone nearby, go ahead and pull it out to give this a try right now. And if you don't have your phone handy, feel free to try this out tomorrow when you receive the slides. So here's a live example of Qgiv's text to donate tools. The way to use text to donate is by just texting the keyword, which is in this case, Qgiv demo text. And it's just as simple as that to 50155, which is the short code. You'll receive a text back with a link to a donation form where you can complete your donation. You can use this demo credit card information here on the screen to just complete that demo donation. Now, optionally, you can also include your donation amount and your name. So for example, it would look like Qgiv demo text 50 Quincy Gibbons. Now, when you include a donation amount and a name, once you click on the link for the donation form, your donation amount will already be entered into the form, and same with your name. But again, that is optional. There is no need to add that if you don't want to. All you need to do is text Qgiv demo text to 50155. And if you do have your phone handy and you've successfully made a donation, feel free to let me know in the chat that you've been able to do that. And if not, again, we will be sending out these slides tomorrow, and you can go ahead and give it a try then as well. Awesome. So now that we've gotten a glimpse of what text fundraising looks like, you might be wondering why text fundraising would be right for you. And I can see that some people are getting some of those demo donations in. Thank you so much for giving that a try. Now, mobile phones are the most utilized device by people around the world, which includes your donors. And it's pretty likely that most of you are mobile phone users yourselves. So as such, you can also attest that your mobile phones will pretty much go wherever you go, same as your donors. So whether they're just stepping out the door to run errands or relaxing on the couch in their living rooms, you can use text fundraising to capture their attention and meet them where they are, even when they are on the go, to inspire them to give. So some statistics here. 91% of donors own a smartphone. They are the most popular mobile devices, and donors look at their phones around 80 times a day. So when you send a text message to them, 90% of the time, donors will read your message within the first 3 minutes of it being sent. Talk about a high open rate. Now, on average, we see $137 is given through the average text donation on the Qgiv platform. And from 2022 to 2023, text fundraising audiences have grown 26%. We've consistently seen growth in text fundraising as a marketing channel for nonprofit organizations. These high engagement rates and these average donation amounts make text fundraising just a hidden gem of a marketing channel, and it's also popular with your donors. Text fundraising is a great way to access specific donor groups. Recently, Qgiv conducted a study to find out what your donors' preferred giving channels were for our second edition of the Generational Giving Study. In this study, we found that 11% of donors in both the United States and Canada preferred to give by text over email, social media, direct mail, phone calls, and other giving methods. We see that the younger generations prefer text fundraising over other channels. In our survey, we found that out of all of the generations, Gen X actually prefers text fundraising the most, then Gen Z, and then millennials. This comes as no surprise since younger generations adopt technology faster. Younger generations also like receiving updates more frequently from the nonprofits they donate to versus older generations, making outbound text an easy way to keep them engaged. And baby boomers tend to not prefer text fundraising. So stick to traditional methods to engage them, like direct mail and phone calls. Now, that's not to say that baby boomers have no experience with text giving. According to Giving USA, 87% of baby boomers use a smartphone or tablet, and 27% of baby boomers have had experience giving via smartphone or tablet. Now, this is a lot of information to take into account, but I want to make a note here. Don't assume how your donors want to be communicated with. It's best to ask them first how they'd like to hear from you. Now, whether that's a box they tick on your donation form during their first interaction with your organization, or if it's a keyword that they text to subscribe to texts from your organization. Give your donors options for how they want to hear from you, and always let them opt into the communications that you send out. The next reason why text fundraising is such a great form of communication, it's super versatile. You can pair text fundraising with a variety of fundraising campaigns, whether you're hosting an event or just planning a good old-fashioned online giving campaign. You can use text fundraising for year-round fundraising. That includes sending general appeals, updating donors on your nonprofit news and your fundraising progress, and also engaging your lapsed donors. It's also great for giving days and year-end fundraising. Giving days like Giving Tuesday, text fundraising is perfect for those campaigns because it's such an immediate way to reach your donors. Those urgent, time-sensitive campaigns really need that kind of a communication channel. You can also use them for events, from standard fundraisers like galas to peer-to-peer and auction fundraisers. Text fundraising is a great way to reach your event participants. During this webinar, we'll be focusing in on those year-end fundraising campaigns and how you can use text fundraising to enhance your fundraising efforts. So let's first get into how to use text fundraising for your year-end online fundraising campaigns. Before we get into the how, I want to provide some context by talking about the donor journey. Understanding the donor journey will help your organization approach text fundraising in a more strategic way, maximizing the impact of those text fundraising campaigns. Now, there are many ways for potential donors to learn about your nonprofit. It's your job to be consistent in your messaging and make it easy for donors to give once they land on your website. The first step in the donor journey is awareness. Awareness refers to a donor's ability to discover that your organization exists and understand your mission. If your nonprofit isn't already a household name, odds are that you need to find a good way to get the attention of prospective donors. The next step is consideration. This stage is also sometimes referred to as the research stage. This stage of the journey occurs after prospective supporters have discovered your organization and they're now considering reasons to give to your particular nonprofit. The next step, decision. This is the decision to make the donation. It's the exciting part. Your prospective donors have now crossed the threshold to become actual donors to your organization. But of course, you don't just want donors to come to you for one gift. Ideally, they'll become long-term donors, and that means inspiring loyalty and advocacy. All of this is important. You need to think about how you are communicating with donors through external communication, on your website, on third-party websites, and your advocacy program. You want to get into the minds of your donors and understand how they interact with your organization. So let's dive a little bit deeper into these donor journey, donor interactions. Now, with awareness, to get the attention of potential donors, you have to think from their perspective. Where do people spend their time and attention? Then be there, whether it's through ads on social media sites or search engine optimization of your website to rank higher during Google searches. Some questions to ask yourself here is, how are you perceived through your external communication? Are you sending the right message? And how do you want donors to perceive you? With consideration, you want to maximize the likelihood that those potential donors choose your organization to give to. So every piece of content that the public can encounter, from your social media profiles to your website landing pages, these should all be optimized to engage reader interest and spark passion. Some questions here to ask yourself: do donors understand your cause and how you make an impact? And do donors trust your organization? Now with the decision phase. This is where you want to make it as easy as possible for potential donors to give. That means making your online donation buttons easy to find, minimizing the number of steps required to donate, letting donors know about tax deductions, and using a secure platform that will automatically track donations and send out donor receipts. Some questions here to ask yourself: is it easy to find your donation form? And is your donation form difficult to understand? Now with loyalty and advocacy, a great way to build a strong relationship with your donors is by showing your appreciation for their support. The thank you is just as important, if not the most important thing that you need to do. If you want to grow and build sustainable revenue, you have to thank your donors. You also want to share with them how you're putting their donation to good use. Let them know how they've made a difference. This helps them better understand your mission and will help them turn into advocates for your mission. Some questions to ask yourself here are you thanking donors? What specific services or improvements have they helped to fund or bring about? And are you asking for that second gift? Now, you also want to review last year's performance. Creating an effective year-end fundraising campaign means looking back at your previous year's campaigns and identifying areas for improvement this year. Consider all the things you wish you'd done differently and all the things that you did that were successful. So dive into your Google Analytics or preferred data tools. How much did you raise? Did a specific campaign message resonate more with donors? What type of content performed for you? Did your video content get a lot of impressions last year? Or did specific images generate more engagement than others? Another thing to look at is what other nonprofits did. Did you see anything that another nonprofit had a lot of success with last year? Was there anything that impressed you or that you know got a lot of attention that you maybe want to incorporate into your campaigns this year? Things like that. And check out the most recent Giving USA report. Look at giving trends and identify what has changed and how that could potentially affect your nonprofit. So if we're looking at text fundraising trends, check out if more people are completing donations on their mobile devices and how much are text message audiences increasing. Now, another thing to consider when planning your year-end campaigns is what your organization's donor journey looks like. Knowing the important steps your specific donors go through to find your nonprofit, learn more about your mission, and decide to get involved can help you concentrate your efforts in the places where you're most likely to make the most impact on potential donors. So here are some important questions that you should be able to answer about your donors' journeys. What are your donors' preferred giving channels? Do most of your donors prefer giving online with credit or debit cards? Are lots of your donors visiting your donation forums on their mobile devices? Do you bring in more donors from text appeals compared to direct mail appeals? Based on the generations your donors are from, these answers can be different across your donor base. So look for patterns and segment your donors for maximum impact. And we'll get more into segmentation later. Now, when it comes to your online giving experience, consider whether donors are finding your donation form and how easy it is to find your form. And next, how often do donors give once they actually reach your donation form? And what is your form's gift completion rate? These are all great questions to consider and answer for yourself when you're starting your year-end campaign planning. And speaking of planning, everything starts with a good plan, and a good plan starts with research. You're most likely busy right now, but I know, everyone knows that when the year-end fundraising season comes, you're busier than ever. So by that time, you'll be so busy, you won't be able to do research, and most of your team is also dedicated to fundraising during that time as well. So do your research now, formulate a plan, and then carry out that plan when it's time. Here's some great research questions to start with. Again, do you know what worked last year for your campaigns? Do you know your organization's specific donor journey and how donors go from potential donors to actual donors? Have your donors' preferences changed? For example, are you seeing an uptick in online donations compared to cash and check donations? And are there new giving trends that have developed over the last year, and maybe specific changes for other organizations that are dedicated to similar missions like yours? Now, while the year-end fundraising season ramps up, you still have to keep in mind your active year-round fundraising campaigns. No need to reinvent the wheel here, but you want to make sure you can bring in as many donations at the end of the year as possible. So texting is a great way to boost those year-round donations. To start, keep donors updated on your campaign progress. Reach out to donors who have already given throughout the year to your year-round campaign. Just sending a simple appeal to those donors can encourage them to make that second gift and help you reach your year-end goals. You can also keep them updated on company news. So let them know the progress of your projects from throughout the year and where they currently stand now that you're in the year-end fundraising season. Let them know how this final push of fundraising at the end of the year will impact those projects. Sharing those details builds trust with donors, and they may be even more encouraged to give again. Also, texting those appeals directly to donors gives them a super easy donation option. They'll see your appeal and have a link right there in the same text that takes them to your donation form. Texting is also great for recurring giving. Think about using it to communicate with current recurring donors and asking them to upgrade or increase how often they give. And a bonus, make sure you let donors know that text fundraising is an option when it comes to your organization. One way you can do that is by sending an intro text message, just letting them know that they can opt in to receive messages from your organization straight to their cell phones. Text giving is also great to incorporate into your year-end, specific year-end and giving day campaigns. Being proactive is crucial here because of the time sensitivity of these campaigns. So plan ahead and set up a campaign ahead of time. This will ensure that your messaging won't get lost among the other appeals that donors receive. A few things to consider including in your campaign are showing donors the progression to your fundraising goal. You definitely have a goal in mind, and donors like to feel like they've made a difference. So show them and provide them updates with how far along you are to reach your fundraising goal throughout the day. You also want to send messages before your campaign gets started that include save the date reminders, invitations to a live stream if you're doing one, or your campaign thermometer, and provide early access to your donation forms. You can start bringing in those donations early. As you get closer to your goal, send messages that include a link to your donation form with updates on your progress. Now, be mindful of the number of messages on this. I'd say limit them to maybe about 3, with message thresholds being sent at 50% of your fundraising goal, 75%, and 90% of your goal. This is a good balance to have during your fundraising campaign. You also want to make sure to thank donors after your campaign and encourage them to continue to stay involved with your organization. And as we will discuss shortly, make sure to include your text keyword in other communications and give donors the option for how they wish to give. Now we're going to look specifically at how events and text fundraising make a great pair and how you can communicate with your audiences before, during, and after your year-end fundraising events, as well as provide you with tips for each type of event, including standard fundraising events, peer-to-peer campaigns, and auction events. Now, whether you're hosting a virtual, in-person, or hybrid event during your year-end fundraising campaigns, you need to engage donors before, during, and after your event. So use text fundraising to invite donors to events, keep them engaged during the event, and also encourage ongoing support after. In addition, if you're hosting multiple events throughout the year, don't overlap communications for different events, as it can cause confusion with your donors. So if you have multiple events going on in the same timeline, decide which one text fundraising makes the most sense for. Now, the first text that you want to send can be about 2 to 3 months ahead of your event. Multi-channel marketing means you can reach a majority of your donor base. So like we said before, text fundraising is a great way to reach your younger donors and let them know that your event is coming up. Before your event, you can send out a text maybe about every 2 to 3 weeks. You want to keep your communications regular, but you don't want to inundate your donors with too many text messages. It's likely that your donors receive a lot of text messages every day, so be timely with those communications. On the day of your event, you can use text to communicate things about your schedule, some time-sensitive communications or event changes, things like that. Text can be really great for communicating all of those things to your event attendees. Now, after your event, you want to let your attendees know how your event went, how much money you raised, and any other updates that you have. A special note here, because events vary based on the size of the event, the kind of event you're hosting, and who you're inviting, you can use the timelines given here and tailor them to your specific needs. These are just general best practices that you should modify to your unique event. Now, text fundraising for peer-to-peer fundraising. Peer-to-peer fundraising empowers donors to raise funds on behalf of your organization. Donors that choose to fundraise can also use the power of text fundraising tools to raise money during your campaign. You can use text fundraising to encourage donors to sign up for your event and to raise money on your behalf. Follow the same event strategy that we talked about just a slide ago. Make sure to give everyone ample notice before your peer-to-peer campaign gets started so they can prepare to start fundraising early. You also want to provide your fundraisers with resources to help them raise money. That includes your nonprofit story. You have to find an effective way to tell your story over text. Keep it short and snappy, but also attention grabbing. You can also provide your fundraisers with text message templates and also some text fundraising best practices. Your fundraisers aren't professional fundraisers like you, so give them the tools that they need to succeed. You and your fundraisers should also be able to send segmented communications. You don't want donors to receive text messages specifically intended for your fundraising participants and vice versa. It can be very confusing for everyone. Now, text fundraising for auction events. You want donors at your auction event to be busy chatting, enjoying the entertainment, and placing bids on items. So while they're focused on your organization, they could miss important updates throughout your event. So text fundraising is a great way to keep all of your guests updated. You can communicate bidding start and end times and a live action start time if you have one. So during your event rehearsal, take note of timings and schedule text messages to send out automatically throughout the night of your event at those predetermined times. You can also use text fundraising to highlight underperforming auction items and fund a need items. Sometimes in a sea of auction items, it can be really easy for donors to overlook some. So highlighting those hidden gems over text can drive bids to that item. And fund a need items sometimes get overshadowed by those auction items as well, and they need a little extra attention. So sending a shout out over text is a great way to direct attention towards those fund a need items as well. You can also pull up your keyword on a live screencast with a fundraising thermometer to encourage pledges and donations. That live feed of donations rolling in is also automatic public recognition, and it motivates other attendees to make a donation themselves. Now, to set yourself up for success, here are some text fundraising best practices to keep in mind while you're running a year-end fundraising campaign paired with text. When you're planning your year-end campaigns, you want to plan ahead and minimize disruptions, especially during time-sensitive campaigns like giving days. One easy way to do this is by creating and having a communication plan in place. Utilize the power of your text fundraising platform to make this process easy and simple. Set a calendar of what communications will be going out before, during, and after your campaign. Include all of your communication channels here, in addition to text like social, email, and ads, for a holistic view of what your donors will be seeing throughout your campaign. This way, you'll be able to see all of your communications in one place, identify any gaps and also times where you might be overwhelming your donors with messages, and have a clear timeline of when things need to be completed. If you're planning on using text fundraising on Giving Tuesday or a giving day outside of that, create text messages ahead of time. Decide how many text messages you want to send during your campaign and when. Then draft your approved text messages in your text platform, and if possible, set them to send automatically throughout the giving day so you don't need to worry about making sure all your texts are going out at the right time. When it comes to the actual messaging across your campaign, take the time to craft and hone in on a consistent and impactful message across all of your communications. Your texts should clearly convey the purpose, impact, and urgency of your campaign in a concise way. Emphasize why your cause or project matters and highlight the difference supporters can make through their contributions. By communicating the significance of your campaign, you'll inspire individuals to take action and become engaged supporters. Maintaining that consistent voice and tone across your campaign's communications reinforces your campaign's brand identity and your messaging. It's also important to ensure that your calls to action are clear and simple. Don't add too many calls to action in one message. Otherwise, it may be too confusing for your donors as to what you actually want them to do. So keep it simple. If you're sending a donation appeal, add a link to a blog post that can speak to why a donation is so important for your organization, in addition to that link to your donation form. But don't add links to read your newsletter and an update on your projects in the same texts. Save those for a separate text at a different time to avoid overwhelming your donors. Now, as you're preparing for your campaign, choosing simple keywords is a must when it comes to text fundraising. Make it as easy as possible for your donors to initiate the donation process and eliminate any confusion that might arise with the text fundraising process. There are a few hurdles you want to consider with text fundraising keywords. Now, we've all been in that situation where autocorrect maybe doesn't catch where you're trying to say or struggles with unusual spellings. So make sure to autocorrect proof your keywords to avoid any missteps there. Memorizing a keyword also isn't easy for everyone. Donors may forget or misspell the keyword, so keeping it simple is best. Another reason to keep it simple, long keywords can be time-consuming to type out, and there's more of a chance for mistakes. And also, be careful if you're adding a number to your keyword, or better yet, don't add a number at all. With the option of adding a number to your text to donate keyword to set a donation amount, your donors might accidentally set a donation amount they didn't intend to set if they accidentally add a space to their initial keyword text with a number in it. You don't want your donors clicking on the link to your donation form only to discover that they pledged to give $2,024. Instead, choose simple, short keywords. Longer keywords provide more opportunity for misspellings, and they're easier to forget. You can also use acronyms or abbreviated spellings where possible. This eliminates that issue of long keywords completely. You also want to use natural text casing. Phones will automatically capitalize the first letter of words, so if your text fundraising platform is case sensitive, that is an important thing to keep in mind. You also want to tie the keyword to an event or a specific campaign and make it relevant to your cause. That makes it easier for your donors to remember the keyword for your campaign. Here you can see some examples of some great keywords that are all short, simple, case sensitive, no numbers involved, and then some bad keywords, which are quite a bit longer or maybe just a little bit more complicated to type out and for your donors to remember. Now you want to test your keywords. You can ask your friends, family, or coworkers to help test keywords, but here are a few places where you do want to test it on. The first thing is your device. It's the test that you have most easy and accessible to you. So pull out your phones, test that keyword out, make sure everything is working correctly. You also want to test it out on both Android devices and iPhone devices. It's likely that your donors have one of the two, so make sure to test your keyword out on both devices to make sure there are no problems across operating systems. And then you can also ask others to test it on their phones, your volunteers, your staff, friends, family, coworkers. Ask everybody to test it for you. Some things to look for during the testing process is whether you or others struggled to enter the keyword into your phones. Did autocorrect mess your keyword up? Did people easily forget the keyword and have to ask you to remind them what it is? If any of these problems arise with your testing group, it's more than likely that your donors or event attendees will also face the same problems. So ironing these issues out ahead of time will ensure your text fundraising campaign goes smoothly when you're ready to launch. For your text fundraising efforts to be successful, you also need to make sure your donors know what your keyword is. If you don't write down your keyword for donors or keep it displayed or easily accessible somewhere, they won't know that they can just simply text your organization to donate. So wherever you display your keyword, make sure to also include the short code your donors will need to text to and add any other pertinent information, like can they text a donation amount with the keyword? Here are a few places that you can display your keyword for your donors. You can display them in those multi-channel marketing efforts leading up to your campaign. So on a brochure or flyer, in the mail, in a social post, in your fundraising emails, add your keyword everywhere. You can also display it on a live screencast when you run your appeals, so donors can see that fundraising thermometer rise and see you achieve your goals. And you can also include it on signage and in your programs if you're running an event during your year-end fundraising campaign. Basically, just add your keyword everywhere. Now, text communications are great. They are highly personable. They provide a quick and engaging way to interact with donors, but it's very easy to overuse and quickly become intrusive to donors. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Your donors consented to let you text them, so don't overdo it. When using text fundraising, make sure to communicate with donors occasionally. Don't inundate your donors with texts. People get tons of texts every day. Anybody have maybe a super active family group chat or one with coworkers or friends that you've been forced to put on mute because of the sheer volume of messages being sent? Or maybe you've walked away from your phone to come back to it with a wall of texts and a whole conversation you missed out on because you were in a meeting or walking the dog. It's definitely happened to me before. So it can be tempting to send more texts to avoid your messages being buried under that family group chat, but you don't want to be invasive either. Otherwise, you'll become the text thread that's set on mute. You also want to use text to communicate important information related to events and campaigns and to send occasional fundraising appeals. Sending texts with information that isn't important, like just a like us on Facebook, or sending too many donation appeals can really turn donors off to letting you text them at all. And have donors opt in to receive communications and let them know the frequency of texts to expect. This kind of transparency builds trust with your donors, which can boost that donor retention. And as with all types of appeals, text fundraising gives you the opportunity to segment your donor data and send customized messaging to groups within your database. If you're unfamiliar with segmentation, donor segmentation is the process of separating your donors into distinct groups that allow you to tailor your donor communications for a more personal feel, even when sending messages to large groups of supporters. Segmentation allows you to group like-minded donors together or donors that share traits. So for example, all of your sustaining donors could be in one group and your message to them could be about upgrading their gift. The message of upgrading your recurring gift isn't relevant to your one-time donors, so it could be confusing to them to receive an appeal about that. You can also segment your donors by location, time zone, age, how long they've been involved with your organization, and any other data points that are relevant for your appeals. Along the way, monitor how effective your text messages are for different audiences. You could find that your younger donors may want to hear from your organization through text more often than your older donors. So keep an eye on how many people and what groups engage with your text messages and what the ideal message cadence is. So for example, if more people from one of your segments donate from a monthly appeal versus a weekly appeal, then you'll want to adjust your frequency to match those findings. Monitor these patterns across your different segments to optimize your text fundraising experience for your donors. Now, you want to make sure that your forms are also mobile optimized. More than half of emails are opened on a mobile device, and that percentage continues to rise. So the last best practice tip I would like to cover today is to make sure your donation forms are mobile optimized. Our research shows that you can increase donations by 216% when your donation form is mobile optimized. And Qgiv takes care of this best practice for you. All of our forms are mobile friendly, so you and your team have one less thing to worry about. In addition to donation forms, nonprofits need to keep mobile users in mind when sending links via text to things like your newsletter, blog posts, landing pages, and any other communications you want your text audiences to access. You want to make your communications as easy to read as possible. And if your donors are reading on a phone, optimizing those communications for smaller screens will boost the likelihood that they'll engage with your texts and also make your organization look good. Now let's get into some text fundraising examples. Our friends at Fresno Rescue Mission are a great example of some successful text fundraising usage. Their keyword is simple, relevant, and easy to remember. It's just Fresno. This is the same keyword they use for year-round giving, but during Giving Tuesday, they made it extra visible by posting it on social media, in addition to adding impact images to drive donations. They used great photos of real people helping their organization in their community and included an appeal and links to their donation form for this Giving Tuesday example. Since adding text fundraising to their suite of fundraising tools, Fresno Rescue Mission has raised over 105% more in one-time donations over the course of 1 year and also recruited over 1,000 new donors. Now, Scripps Howard Fund successfully used text fundraising as part of their Maui wildfire relief campaign. They kept their keyword short and simple, just Maui, and the parent company to the Scripps Howard Fund is a large media conglomerate. So they used the news media outlets they own to help promote their text fundraising efforts and posted their campaign across those outlets' social media channels. Now, I know not everybody has those resources. Wouldn't it be nice if we did? But there are alternatives to simply being just a large media conglomerate. To spread the word about your campaign, you can reach out to local news and radio stations and ask them if they'd be willing to become sponsors for your organization and if they'd make an in-kind donation of airtime to help promote your campaign over the airwaves and via their social media channels. Just make sure they include your keyword and your short code, and you'll be able to reach a wider group of potential donors that can give to your campaign just by sending a simple text. Now, Pilgrim Pines is a camp and retreat center for campers of all ages. They hosted a modern phone-a-thon event and made giving very simple, providing options for all their donors for how to make a donation. You either gave via text to Pines at 50155, again, note the short, simple, and relevant keyword, or use the donate button to get to their donation form. They got very creative in their marketing by utilizing video testimonials from employees, volunteers, and campgoers on social media and made sure everything promoted the two giving options of text to give or donating through their online form, just depending on people's giving preferences. Now let's take a look at Qgiv's text fundraising tools. Qgiv's text fundraising package includes text to donate, which is the form-based text fundraising method we've been talking about this whole webinar. Donors initiate a gift via text before visiting a mobile form to complete their donation. It also comes with those custom keywords, so you can personalize your keyword to go with your organization's mission or identity, and you can create a new custom keyword for every campaign or event. There's also outbound messaging. With outbound messaging, you can communicate with your donors during events and beyond those simple donation appeals. And with that comes contact lists, where your donors can opt into a subscription with a keyword, so you can send a letter out to a specific list of contacts that are interested in receiving that newsletter. You can also use pledges at any of your engaging events or when your donors are out and about. It's super easy for them to get caught up in conversations or forget that they've committed to make a donation. So pledges mean that your donors can show their support and their intention to donate and then actually complete their donation later. And that comes with automatic reminder messages. So donors who made a pledge but didn't finish the donation will receive texts from your organization reminding them about the donation that they said they would complete. And then we have FundHub Live. Now, FundHub Live is a great tool that you can use in tandem with your text fundraising efforts. It's basically a page that updates your fundraising progress in real time for your donors to see. This can be especially handy for those time-sensitive fundraising campaigns, or it can be something that you display during a fundraising event. You can also add your keyword with instructions for text to donate to your FundHub Live so your donors can see it throughout your campaign and see how easy it is to give with text to donate. The example here is from Strive, a women's empowerment initiative. They displayed the screen during an event they hosted, providing everyone with a keyword they can use to donate and easy instructions for how to complete their donation. You can also use a live activity feed where your donors can see their names pop up on the screen when they donate, and you can even get creative with the feature to make them feel more included. So for example, the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation hosts a Broadway Belts event every year where Broadway stars sing some musical theater classics. Donors can text a message that shows up on the FundHub Live activity feed, and those Broadway performers read those messages out loud throughout the night. It makes the event more engaging for virtual donors and also acts as recognition for people's contributions. Now, I want to thank everyone for joining today. We're going to get to Q&A here in a moment, but first of all, earlier this year, Qgiv joined the Bloomerang team to offer a modern giving platform that puts relationships at the heart of fundraising. This combined solution unifies your donors' activities, giving you the power to acquire new donors, cultivate impactful relationships, and maximize the potential of your donor communities. If you're interested in learning more and you are a Qgiv customer, feel free to email us at support@qgiv.com with any questions you have about Qgiv's online fundraising tools and the Bloomerang acquisition. If you're not a Qgiv client and you're curious about using the Qgiv platform, it's easy to request a demo. Just visit qgiv.com/demo-request and fill out the form. And if you're looking for more best practices, visit qgiv.com/blog and check out our collection of fundraising blogs and free resources. And now let's move on to our Q&A.
Thank you, everyone, for all the great questions. We've been trying to get to everything that you have going on here. So I think that we've been answering a couple of questions. And Wendy, I don't know if you wanted to answer any of the ones that we have going live, but we can start with, can the donor names be manually entered to include those donations with other sources which would arrive directly to our school?
So I think this is coming from the FundHub Live example that Tiara shared. And we do have the ability to include names from every source. It would just appear a little bit differently than the example that Tiara shared. We'd be happy to walk through that with you.
Wonderful. How does Qgiv interact with Bloomerang? And could it be an add-on to a current subscription?
Boy, this is probably the best question. So we have a direct integration. So what that means is within Qgiv, you're basically able to set up and say, this is where I would like transactions from Qgiv to flow in Bloomerang. And we can definitely help you with that setup. So basically it's a direct integration and we'll carry over all Qgiv transactions to Bloomerang.
Awesome. Looks like we have a question from Whitney. Are there any scheduled updates to Qgiv receipts, or will these receipts integrate with Bloomerang emails?
So I have an idea of where your question is coming from, Whitney. Right now, Qgiv's receipts are any transaction through Qgiv is going to receive a receipt. So they're completely customizable. They can be set up on the form level or at the global level. And then you have the option within the integration to say, hey, am I going to mark this as already acknowledged, or is this something that I also want to send to them through Bloomerang? So that's something we'd probably want to talk about your specific use case, but those are extremely customizable within Qgiv. Okay, how are the funds received by our organization? So this is going to depend on the merchant processor that you're using within Qgiv. If you are using our basically our preferred merchant processor at this time, which is WorldPay, then we actually batch and deposit each evening at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. And David wants to know, what is the cost of Qgiv if you already have Bloomerang? Is it a per text fee?
Well, that's a big question, David, because Qgiv is way more than just text. So it's going to depend on what you already have available through your Bloomerang subscription. So that's something we would probably want to determine first to see if there is, to see what that fee would be. If it's okay, we'd love to kind of take a look at your account and be able to give you a more specific answer on that.
Perfect. Brenda wants to know how to use PayPal. I think with text fundraising, is that the question? Might need a little bit of clarification, but Wendy, if you want to take that one.
Okay, so PayPal is something that we can integrate within your Qgiv forms. Basically, we'll stage it for you. You log in with your PayPal credentials within Qgiv, and then you have the option to have both PayPal and Venmo on your forms. And that is also true for text fundraising. So you could set it up where someone could text their keyword and then actually fulfill that by using PayPal. I hope that helps a little bit.
Nicole wants to know, I've set up text to donate in a donation page, but how do you set up text fundraising for end of year campaigns? Are these sent, received through a personal cell phone?
So those are going to be set up in a different area than your text to donate. So if you don't currently have access to outbound text messaging, that's something, reach out to us. We can help you with that. So it's going to be in a different area. You'll actually set up contact lists so that you can text anyone who has opted in to receive those, or anyone that you've added as part of that list, and they will receive that text on their phone, their cell phone.
Awesome. Jessica wants to know, is the text to give always to the same text number, 50155? And if you're using Qgiv, yes, it is.
That's an easy one to remember too.
Carrie wants to know, how are texts set up for sending? For example, a list of new potential donors is not in Bloomerang, but we have a separate list that we'd like to reach out to.
Okay, so the good news is we talked kind of about that integration a little bit. That only works one way. It flows from Qgiv to Bloomerang. So it's okay if you don't have them in Bloomerang quite yet. What you're going to do is upload that contact list into Qgiv to send those text messages.
Perfect. And somebody is asking, does Qgiv provide outbound texting just like the thank you messages, like just the thank you messages to Canadian numbers?
We don't. I'm so sorry. It's terrible news for our Canadian clients right now, but not yet. I'll
Not
leave it.
yet.
I won't say no. I'll say not yet.
Yes, it could always happen
You never know.
in the future. Awesome. Well, it looks like we've answered pretty much everybody's questions. If you have any, oh, a question just came in. I spoke too soon. Is there a way to scan a list to see if the numbers we have are cell phone numbers?
There is not.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay.
Oh, I hate to end on that. Doesn't somebody have one more question? Let me say yes to something, y'all.
No, it's such a bummer to leave our webinar on.
No, what a bunch of good questions, though.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for those wonderful questions. Hope that answered most of them, especially for those who have not. Oh, what happens to the non-cell phone numbers you text? That question just came in.
So great question, Gina. So exactly kind of what you probably anticipate, it doesn't go anywhere. So because we can't text a landline, so nothing would happen to that text. They just wouldn't receive it.
Gina also wants to know if we receive a report.
And there is not a report on whether or not those are cell phone numbers or landlines.
Just giving a lot of no's out, Wendy.
I will say what I like to do is if I know if I'm working with an organization and I know they're going to be using text fundraising, particularly the outbound text fundraising, I like to incorporate that as a question on the donation form. So cell phone number is something I love to ask specifically for, a cell phone number, so that people are letting us know, hey, this is the number in case you need to text.
Perfect. What other resources do you offer for Qgiv? Any other videos? We do have a full library of videos, blogs, other webinars, recorded webinars that you can watch on our website. If you go to qgiv.com and you click on resources, there will be a whole treasure trove of resources that you can use there. And then Wendy, if you want to talk about our clients and current Qgiv clients and what they have.
And I just want to share very briefly, because I'll bet we have a bunch of new Qgiv clients on with us today. So I want to plug the group trainings as well. We know that sometimes it's hard to fit something into your schedule, like a scheduled webinar or a scheduled training. We are doing weekly group trainings that focus on giving forms, that focus on integrations, setting up an event. And if you register for them, but you can't attend, we'll send you the recording after. So just want to throw that out there.
Yep. I just dropped in links there too for you as well. So that will link directly to the blog and our resource center of everything that's categorized for text fundraising or mobile fundraising, which that'll all be like best practices and stuff. So
yeah. And also in the follow-up email that everyone will receive tomorrow, I have included a ton of resources specific to text fundraising. So if you're looking for the recording of this webinar, the slides, and all those resources, it will be in that email in your inboxes tomorrow afternoon. So keep an eye out for that. Awesome. Well, that was a much more positive note to end on. There you go, Wendy. We've got some,
Thank
we've
you.
got some really great positive answers going. So again, thank you to everybody for attending this webinar today. I hope you found it super helpful for your text fundraising campaigns this year-end fundraising season. I'm so excited to kick that off. So really appreciate everyone attending today. And I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.